Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I apologize. I have to finish something. Anyway, um, let's continue our discussion with regards to object-oriented concepts. No? Okay. So previously we have talked about classes, no, and definition. No? I won't go into that again. No. Okay. Let's see. So okay. So I'm going to remove this one. Okay. So, okay. So we will be talking about methods. No? Okay. So hmm, we will continue with person, although again, methods are like functions in C. No? Okay. So the only difference is that you have to what's this? You have to create an object first. Okay. So usually, no, usually. Okay. Because we will discuss later on static. No? So what is static? And of course, those are things that, or you can create a library of static methods. No? Meaning that, like this one. Mm, let's say, for example, float and then parse float. Okay. You remember this one, right? Class? Do you remember this one or
Opo,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
okay? This is an example of this is an example of a static method. In which case, we don't have to instantiate an object. No? So we call directly the method from the class. So float is a class. No? So as I have said, this is a wrapper class. Okay, we don't have to create an object for this one or instantiate. No? We call them directly, and this is called static. We'll learn this later on. No? We can create these types of methods. No? Okay, so but for now, we're going to go back. No? And before we discuss about access modifiers, we will talk about methods first, of course. Methods discussion for today. So we have methods and then we have access modifiers. Uh, overloading, you know this already. Methods. And then passing, just as passing an array to a method. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So, as I have said, no, methods are like functions in C. No? So we call them, but of course, in order to call them, we have to instantiate an object. No? So in our case today, no? Okay. So, okay. I'm thinking of creating a an overloading method. Okay. So here in this example, mm, we have get full name. Mm, okay, okay. Get full name, get full name. I'm thinking of overloading a particular method, but it needs parameters. So here, in this example, doesn't need parameters, no? Because the properties are here. No? It only uh, mm, okay. I'm going to create another method. So overload Java. Okay. And here public. Okay. Something. Okay. And then value one. Okay. This is a silly method, no? In order for you to, of course, uh, understand overloading, no? Methods. We have already discussed that in constructors, no? But it's still the same. And then, mm, so return. So let's say we're going to multiply this one, no? Okay, by itself. And then get value. Let's call it something meaningful. Meaningful. Okay. Print value. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to create the main program here. And then uh, Class overload. Object. Uh, yeah. Okay, and then I'm going to create constructor, an empty constructor. Okay. And then print value 5. Okay, let's say. And then this one, although I can do it in the first object, but it's better that 2 and 8. Okay. Using one argument. So overload, yeah, using 2 arguments. Okay, I think that's that. Let's compile it. Ah, okay. Sorry. This one should return an int. So int. Okay. So it returns an int. If it does not return anything, then it's going to be void. No? Okay. Okay. So the first one, of course, is one argument, which is 5. So 5 multiplied by itself is going to be 25. And this one is, of course, 2 multiplied by 8. So it's the same, no? Okay. So a we have created a blank constructor just for this example, and I know I created a silly just to demonstrate overloading methods. No? So we have here the method called print value, no? And although they have the same name, no? As this one, again, no? As a review, no? Because in constructors we already did overloading. No? And here I'm just demonstrating it to you that since a constructor is also a method, you can also do this in methods. Overloading a method. Okay? Do you understand, class? Do you have any questions or clarifications?
Sir,
Yes. Go ahead.
kapag blank po yung constructor, therefore naka-default yung values nun, sir, no?
Yes, because I did not here in this example, no, there's nothing, no, there's no properties here, no. Okay, we did not define any properties. Okay, here I should have defined properties here or fields, no, but this one is just a demonstration of what's this method overload. So there's nothing, no? Okay, so it's an empty constructor, but it's valid, of course, no? Okay. Just as an example, no? Usually constructors have what you do inside a constructor is, of course, no, initializing properties, no, or in Java's case, no, fields, no. Okay, but this one does nothing. Okay. Lerwin, ikaw ba yung nagtanong?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did I satisfy your inquiry?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any more questions or clarifications before we proceed with the next? What's the next topic? Um, I think I wrote it in overloading methods. We did that already. Methods, I did that. Passing an array to a method. Okay. So normally when we pass an array, okay, I'm going to create another one, no, to a method. So pass array. Okay, I'm just going to call it pass array. No? Okay. 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 Again, I'm going to create an empty constructor. Okay. And then public, okay, void does not return anything. No? Okay, print array. Okay. Okay. And then, so let's say we're just going to print out uh, an array of type float. No? Okay. And then mm, let's say grades. Okay. Okay. And then if you remember our for each loop, I'm just going to print it out. And system out grade listing, let's say. I'm going to add another space. Okay. And then excuse me. Okay, let's do it vertically now. Okay. And then we have the main program, of course. I hope I still remember it. I seldom pass arrays in a method. No? Okay, so we're going to define listing of grades. No? Okay. And then let's say 1.75. 5. I hope this works. Uh, okay. And then, oops, sorry. Uh, okay. And then, okay. I'm going to create an object based from the pass array. No? Pass array object array. Okay, pass array. Okay, new pass array. Okay, and then let's call it. And then, of course, the print array. Okay, and then so let's compile it. Okay. So as I have told you, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay. Yep. Okay. Okay. So in this particular example, now we have created a float array called grades, and then we included a grade listing here. And then we created an object just to call what's this? The print array, which needs an array. So here we have the method print array. So it needs a parameter array of type or array of type float. So here you have to define the type. And then you have to specify that it's an array. And then the name of the parameter. But in the case of calling it, no? Okay, and then we pass an array inside, you don't need to specify the type, no? Just the array itself. Okay, do you understand, class? Do you have any questions or clarifications, class?
Sir?
Yes.
Um, pwede naman talaga tayo, sir, mag-create ng isang object without a constructor, no? Kahit hindi tayo mag-declare sa taas. As long as we will create it sa main method explicitly. And yan, papasa lang natin yung values na gusto natin ipasa papunta sa method.
Mm, we don't need an constructor. Yes, actually. But
Kasi
yeah,
Kasi sa case na yan, sir, di ba, hindi po tayo nag-create ng constructor. Like, we just created a method, yung print array, then we
yeah.
create,
There's a yeah, yeah. We just created for us to satisfy the instantiation. No? Okay. So just for the completeness of it. No? Okay. But showing you, of course, no. Okay. There's another side to it. No? If you want, let's say, okay. This has to be. You have to create this on a different. But we're going to talk about it. No? Okay. I'm going to erase it again just to demonstrate. No? Okay. So here, I'm going to, okay, okay, oops, sorry, wait, sorry. This is, okay, okay. Do you notice the difference? I've created a static method. A static method, meaning you don't have to instantiate. So we did not instantiate anything. No? We just since this is, let's say you have a library of methods, no, that you don't need to instantiate. No, you need them. No, you just need them. So mostly it's going to be your personal library, no, or user-defined library, no, okay, or user-defined methods. No. You can create them in a separate uh, code or Java program, no, and then all of them are static, like this one. Okay, we don't need to instantiate. We just call the class. Do you get me? So normally you separate this one. No? So the main is going to be separated. No? Okay. So I'm going to give another example, no, later, no, on our class. No? Do you get it, class? The static keyword. No? The static meaning we don't need to instantiate. I think this is an advance, but just to give you an idea, no, we're going to go back using the static method. No? Okay, just including this clause. Okay, causes this one. We don't need to instantiate. Okay, question.
So meaning, sir, we are just passing an argument to a static method if we don't want to create an instance or instantiation.
Yes, correct, correct.
So
So
there,
you just call the class directly, a method inside the class directly. No? You don't need instantiation for that.
so therefore, sir, we're not creating an object in that case.
No, as you can see, no, we did not create an object. We did create an object. No, all in Java, everything is an object. No? So we did create an array object. No? But of course, no, in order to print the listing, the content of this one, we called in a method. No? A method that is static. We don't need to instantiate. Do you get me?
Kaya natin siya, sir, nasabi na object pa rin kasi we are referencing on the class, no? Kasi pass array. That, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just demonstrating it to you. No? Although uh, for now we don't talk about this, just to demonstrate that we can call it directly, no? Okay, without instantiating. Without this keyword, the static, no, it's going to be like this one. And then, okay, let's try it. No, I haven't tried this yet. Well, not in Java anyway. Without any constructor. Nah, let's see if it will work. Okay, so it needs instantiation. Okay, it needs it. We must instantiate. Just a try to make sure that if it's a the new compiler will react to my code, no? Okay, so it reacted negatively, no? Okay, so we need a blank constructor just to create a method, no? Because we're not going to this is just to demonstrate, no, passing an array, no? Okay, let's say, no, we can create another it depends on the situation, no? You need what's this? Maybe you need an array, no, for to what's this? To a certain method that requires. So let's say, for example, I have a what's this? A field here, float. Okay, multiplier. Let's say, huh? So this is a field. Okay, and then mm, we can assign a value here. So let's say, oh, sorry. Uh, okay. So this is not going to be grades anymore, no? So let's say point 25, let's say, float. And I'm just going to going to, what's this? Okay. Going to copy this one. And then this complicates the program even more. No? Okay. And then I'm just going to call this values. And then okay. Did I get that right? Okay. 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 So it happens, no? That's why I always tell my students in the later years, no, with regards to software development. No? Okay, don't change uh, something in an instant. No? It will, if you change a module, no, or a particular parameter, no, it will affect the entire system. No? Okay, so in which case this is just a simple program. No? So if you change something, no, you see, no, that there will be an error. No? Okay, so with regards to maintenance, of course. Okay. Okay. So in which case, in the pass array, just to utilize the constructor, no? Okay, uh, we have here a multiplier value, no? Okay, so we created a field called multiplier, no? Okay, and then of course, no, we pass the array. Okay, in this array, it needs the multiplier, no? Okay, to compute for something. Okay, do you understand, class? Do you have any questions before we proceed with the other discussion? Any
Ay,
questions?
sir, can you scroll up lang po dun sa code? Tingnan ko lang po yung taas kasi kino-compare ko yung differences kapag static lang siya sa tawag nito, yung may na instantiate.
Don't concern yourself with static yet. No? We're going to discuss it later. Okay, I just gave a demonstration on, let's say, you don't need to instantiate an object just to call a method. No? Okay, so let's say there are certain methods that doesn't need instantiation. Okay? And we call them static methods. In order to create those static methods, we include the keyword or the clause static. Keyword is much preferred than clause. No? Okay, so don't concern yourself yet with regards to static methods. No? We'll discuss them later on. No? I don't know if I think it's not in. Is it in the syllabus? Static methods. I think it's not. It's not in the syllabus, right?
Alam ko sir, naka-include lang po is private, I guess. Sa access modifier
Right.
na po ata.
It's access modifiers, no? But static methods are not yet. I think it's not in the syllabus. I
Opo,
don't
sir.
know.
Mukhang wala po.
Okay, so that's going to be a bonus for you, no? So, here, ito pala eh. This one, a method without an argument can return the return type. A method with or without argument can return a value. The return type for a method can be any type. The int double. A method's return type can be identified through the method type. Okay. The example included static, but it did not explain what static is. No? It's just an example with regards to the return method. No? Okay. Okay. So this one returns a car. This one returns a double. Okay.
Sir,
I
question
don't.
lang dun.
Yeah.
Dun po sa
I don't.
taas.
I don't usually refer to the. As you can see, no, this one is complicated and it uses variables that complicates even more things. No? X, Y. No. Okay. So yes, Lerwin, the code. The code
Yung dun
here.
po, yung dun po sa taas, and po, yung sa public static status, di ba sir, you've demonstrated kanina na we're passing an array or any value doon from the method, no? Kasi nga,
Mhm.
hindi tayo nag-instantiate, so by the definition of static. Sa case na yan, sir, if wala pong parameter na tatanggap doon sa method na yan, so
Actually,
ang purpose lang yan, sir, is to call that function or pwedeng gumamit ng field para yun yung gamitin sa ano na yan,
in
sa
this
method na
particular
yan.
example,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
actually, the the method name is wrong, no? Okay, this shouldn't be capital. This one refers to a class, no? The only they did a wrong example for this one.
Yes, sir.
But
Hindi po nakakamel.
okay, this should be small letters, no? Okay, method names. Okay, thank you for bringing that up because I remember in this particular example, no? Okay, method names should not be capital letters, no? Okay, so the first letter should always begin with a small letter. No? Only class names begins with a capital letter. Okay, class, remember that, no? So this textbook is a textbook example of a wrong method name, no? Okay. Okay. So as you can see, with regards to uh, the naming convention of arrays, no, this is not my own style. No, this is OOP. No, okay. Method name should begin with a small letter. No? The other you can use camel case if you want. No? Or I prefer to use camel case instead of the underscore. No? But in method naming, you can do whatever you want. Or you can have the only thing that I require is the naming convention of the object names, no? Or the variables, no? Or the fields. No? Okay, that's the only one that I require. No? But of course, the naming convention of it's up to you. The method. No? You can use an underscore if you want. I forgot what term it is, no? But with regards to since I usually develop with a team, okay, and then we formulated this one for us to communicate better, no, with regards to maintenance. No? We did, of course, no, okay. Uh, since I was into system development, since I handled two departments, no, in the what's this or two sections. No? In the front end, they can do whatever they want. No? These are web designers, no? Okay? And usually they do drag and drop. No? They use Dreamweaver. But for us back end, no? Okay, I usually take care of the back end. We formulated a naming convention so that it's not going to be kanya-kanyang style. No? What's this? Every developer has his or her own style. No, the problem with that, if you're developing with a team, no, okay, it's going to be difficult if you're going to maintain that system or you're going to maintain that particular library, no, that developer creates. No, if you're not going to conform to a standard. Do you get me, class?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's why, no, it's always best that you have a standard so that when you send some like me, no, I can send somebody else. No, let's say the original developer now got sick or uh, had a vacation or resigns from the company. I can call somebody else, no, to do that. Let's say there's a particular system that needs to be maintained. No, okay, and the client called. I can have somebody, and that developer can easily maintain the code, no? Because there's a standard way of doing things. Okay, so anyway, I think you have an experience. I don't know if you have that experience, no? Okay, reading someone else's code, no, and you know it's going to be chaotic if you don't have a standard. Okay? Let's say you're going to read your classmates' code, no? And yeah, your classmate has a standard of naming variables or fields to Tagalog, no? Okay. Of course, you're going to have a hard time, no, understanding it, even though you understand uh, what the logic is, no. But of course, if it's going to be in Tagalog, no, you're going to have a hard time, especially if it's a very very long code, no? Okay, and it's monolithic. When I say monolithic, no, it's just one file. Okay, I don't agree with that. No, okay, that's C. In C you can do that, no? But in OOP like Java, no, it has to be separated. That's why I'm teaching you how to separate things, no? Separate the code wherein there's this class only, and then separate the main program. Okay. Later on, we will go back to that way, no? But just to show you that we can create a simple code that has the class itself and then the main program, just what just the code of sample code of Lerwin posted before, no? Okay, just to show you that. Okay, class, do you get it? Any questions with regards to this one before we proceed with the we have not yet talked about inheritance. No, that's going to be for next meeting. Okay, and then we will talk about. Is there a schedule for your midterms? Any? Not yet. No, no schedule yet.
Based po sa calendar ng academic calendar sa PUP website, last week daw po ng May.
Last week of May is your midterms.
Opo.
Okay. Finals will be No finals yet?
Hindi ko pa po na-check yung sa finals.
Okay. Julia, please get back to me on that one. So anyway, if there are no more questions, we will proceed with what's this? Access modifiers. So we're going to go back to person. Okay. Since I just made this as a scratch, I'm going to erase this. Okay. So there are several types of access modifiers. Okay. So there's public. Its access modifiers are used um, as the name implies, no, accessibility, no, okay, the availability of a particular method or field, no, okay, we can define methods, we can define access modifiers in methods, no? Okay, so available anywhere. Okay. Sometimes it's also called global. And then there's private. And are there any questions? July. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Julia. Okay. And then there's protected. Okay. Now, in Java, there's an empty. Okay. Within the package. Okay. And then available only in the class. So availability, available within the class and its subclass. Okay. So public, you know all this already. No, we don't have to discuss this anymore. No, empty. It's available from within the class and its subclasses. No? And package, class, and its subclasses. Okay. So here, I did not include an access modifier. So this is empty. No, you can do this. No? But of course, no, it's 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 better if you declare it as this one or this one. Okay. So normally inside the properties, we define it as private. Okay, so this one is private. So this one is only available from within the class itself. No? If you inherit, no? Later we will talk about inheritance next meeting. No? We'll talk about inheritance. That's it. And our midterm exam will be on June 1. Okay? So, with regards to this one, and if we take a look at the person name, okay. This one will not work. This particular code, okay, or code block, no, code, okay, set of codes will not work, okay, because it's declared as private. So let's see. Okay, did I save that? So again, I've converted our person, no, the fields inside as private, no, or attributes. Okay, and then we're going to compile the person main. Okay. See the error, no? Okay. So as you can see, this will not work. Okay. So how do we, let's say this one, no, we don't have a problem, no. But let's say we want to, we have a data entry program, and then each data entry it's going to set the fields, no? Okay. So we need this one. So how do we do this without, we cannot access it, okay, because it's already declared as private, okay? So protected is, this one is, when we talk about access modifier, no, this one is the most secure, okay? This one is secure, but it applies to the class and its subclass. If we inherit this particular class, we'll talk about inheritance next meeting. No? If we inherit this one, then all the fields here that is declared protected will be accessible. Do you understand, class? But you will
Yes,
have
sir.
you will have a greater understanding next meeting. No? Okay. So for now, what we're going to do is, if you have read read your what's this?
Tama po ba, sir? Gagamit tayo ng setters at saka getters?
Correct. Okay. Just what Lerwin has told us, no? We will use assessors and mutators, no? Okay. So assessors is getters, mutators are setters, no? Okay. So with regards to access modifiers, no? Okay. In Java, they are called mutators, no, and assessors. No? But in normal OOP, no, if we talk about other languages such as PHP or Python, no, okay, they are called setters and getters. No? Okay, so as what the name implies, no, mutate. We're going to change something, no, that set. Okay, and then the assessors, no, we're going to get. Okay, get a value. Yeah? Okay. So in this particular instance, no? Okay, we will create a set of setters and getters. No? So that's okay. Let me give you an example before we go to setters and getters. No? Who has experience? Who has experience going inside the bank? No, so let's say your parents ask you to withdraw something. No, okay, so they're going to sign a withdrawal slip. No, but they're going to authorize. So let's say they're in the office, they're busy. No, they can't go in the bank. No? Who has experience going in the bank before? Class?
Ako po, sir.
Sino? Who? Ulit. Ay, Ian. Okay. So, so normally inside the bank, no? So outside there's a security guard, no? And then of course, no, when you go inside, no, so there are the depositors, no, your clients, no? Okay. And then what you see in the front, on the front desk are the tellers. No? They are called tellers. Yeah. Now, of course, um, if you want to withdraw or deposit, no, deposit is putting money in, no, and withdraw is getting money out, no, from a particular bank account number, no? So normally from your parents, no? Okay. So there's going to be a slip. Okay, your parents will have to fill that up, no? And inside, no, there's the amount, no? And then you're going to fill something up, no? Because you're going to withdraw it for them. No? Okay. So you have to show to the bank the sometimes the ID. No? They're going to ask for the ID. Yeah, authorization letter. Okay, or sometimes in the slip. No, there's in the form. No, okay, you only need to sign this one. No? It's in the form itself. No? Okay, and then you have to show your ID. Yeah, okay. So if you're going to withdraw something, no, you have you don't you can't get inside the vault, no, and get money, no, you get shot, no, okay. So of course you need to go to the teller for the transaction, whatever that transaction is. No? It can be a payment, it can be a withdrawal, or it can be a deposit. Okay, but in our example, withdrawal, no, okay, you need to go to the teller, present the slip, no, and then the teller will go to the supervisor, no, okay, check the signature of your parents, no, okay, and then there's your ID, of course, no, and then if they need other validation like authorization letter, no, they're going to ask for it, no, and then at the same time, no, the one in charge, so it may be the bank manager or someone else, no, okay, will go to the vault and get your money. Okay. Did I do an accurate depiction of withdrawing Ian and Lerwin? And then from the teller, no, you'll get your money. No? You approach the teller, input, and then the output goes back. The teller will give you the output. Okay. So is that accurate depiction of what you did in the bank before?
Yes, sir.
Opo, sir.
Okay. So it's more like setters and getters. No? Okay. So we're going to, of course, no, the teller is the public access. Okay. So it's the communication between uh, you and the bank. No? Okay. The vault. No? Okay. Private is the money. No? It's private. Okay. You cannot just get it. No? Okay. So we need a teller. to do that for us. No? Okay. So usually, normally, not usually, normally, the methods in setters and getters are public. So we are creating the teller, no? Okay, the teller, what the teller can do, no? Okay. So since we have three attributes, okay, set last. Okay, I'm just going to creating the template first, no? Since the setter, no, does not return anything, it's not going to return anything. No? You're going to set it, so it's going to be void. Okay, set first can be any, and then set middle. Okay. Okay. And then so setters and mutators are the same. Okay. So it needs a parameter. No? Okay. As first. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to put space, no? So it's going to be understandable. Later on, no, I'm just going to put space for it to be readable. No? Okay, and then the last one is going to be okay. And then, of course, we're going to create the getters. No? Okay. So getters, of course, return something. No? So in this particular instance, now we're just going to return a string. No? Okay. So that's since setters and getters should be public. No? So it's a way for the private for us to access the private what's this? The private fields inside. No? Okay. So string get last. Okay. String get first. Okay. So normally it doesn't require any parameters na, inside because we're just going to return the fields. Na? String get middle. Okay. So setters and getters are long. There's a new one that Java, na, okay, but it's not going to be. Unfortunately, it's not included in our discussion, no? Or in our syllabus. So that's going to be return this point str last. Return this point str first. And return this point str middle. Okay. And then the same. We're not going to change, okay, the others. Okay. And then I'm going to change the main. So instead of this one, so what we're going to do is, of course, set first. Set last. Okay. Hmm. Mm, okay. And then, okay, this one will generate an error, no? Okay. Person main. Let's compile it first. No? I'm going to compile person and then person main, no? Just to show you the error. No? Okay. Java C person.java. Okay. Java C person main.java. Okay. So we cannot do that. No? Okay. So in person 2, what we're going to do is, of course, private properties. They're the same. Okay. And then, so here, full name is displayed as first middle. Okay. Okay. So we'll compile it again. Okay, let's run it. Okay. Any questions? Class? So as you can see, no, here in this example, okay, these are the setters, no, okay. So we've communicated with the teller, no? Okay. So this is just like deposit money, no? Okay. And of course, in the setters, no? Okay. Where are the setters? Here. In the setters, no? Okay. So it should be public. Okay? It's not going to be private. Okay. We can define methods as private, but they can only be used from within the class. No? So let's say you need a method that is private, because if we define this as let's say this one, no? We define this as private, it's going to give us an error. No? You can define private or protected methods, no problem. If you want it to be secure, you don't want users to see it. Users meaning us, no, developers. No? That's why there are certain classes, like the string class. No, you don't have access to it. No? You don't know the code inside the string class. No? Okay, you normally don't have access to the code. No? So if okay, okay. So as you can see, private access. So normally in setters and getters, this should be public. Okay, do you understand, class?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I know it's more, some of you might get confused with this one. Huh? Are some of you are confused? It may be confusing at first. No problem, don't be shy, no? Okay?
Ay, sir,
Yes.
tanong lang po. Gusto ko lang kasi i-clarify yung role talaga ng setters. Like, why does it exist? Paano siya para po bang pang-declare? Ganun po ba?
Yeah.
Parang bakit hindi po pwede na getters na lang diretso? Or
No,
i-declare na lang siya sa simula?
no, because it's recommended. It's with regards to classes, no? There should be certain properties that should be private. We don't have access to it. No? Okay? In normal situations, it shouldn't be public. Okay? That's the way things are, no? When you develop code, no? Especially in object-oriented programming. No? I know this may be confusing at first because in C, na, when you define a function, no, it can just be static. When we declare a static variable, it's only available from within the function. It's not going to be erased. No? It's just public. No? Public meaning you have access to it, that variable. No? Okay. Or it's not private. What is that called in C? Is it also private? I forgot.
Static din, sir, ang ginagamit if a certain variable, yung value niya ayaw natin ma-destroy or
Yes, yes,
mabago.
correct, correct.
So,
But
nilalagyan po ng static. For example, static
yes,
int, parang ganun po.
yes, but static is different here. No, the static keyword is different. No, okay. Um, but there are certain variables in C that are private. No? It's going to be destroyed once you leave the function. Okay, do you understand? But here, it's not going to be destroyed because these are properties. So that's why I told you to forget about C, and now I'm telling you to remind gulo ko eh. No? Anyway, forget about C. No? Okay. What I'm implying is that you might be confused, no? Because you learned this, no? In C. Okay. That's what I'm implying. Okay. But here it's different, no? In object-oriented programming. That's why Julia asked the question. Am I correct, Julia? You're confused with regards to, you're still comparing it with C, right?
In a way, sir, opo. Kasi
Mm,
di ko lang na-gets na
okay.
bakit kailangan pa magkaroon ng setter. Pero ayun.
Yeah. Yeah, we need setters because these are private. And the only way for us to set values. So let's say you have a data entry program, no? Okay? And in your program, yeah, you can always use a constructor. But what if it's not going to be complete? Okay, yeah, you can have different sets of constructor, no? But what this one is okay, no? But what if you have a data entry, okay, that doesn't need constructors? It it's optional, no? But it's included in your data entry program. Do you get me? The constructors are there, okay, for properties that are required. But as I have told you, no, with regards to this is a perfect example, no, persons. There are certain persons, no, like let's say your father is Japanese, no. There's no middle name, no, in Japanese. That's the problem, no. Okay, but here in the Philippines, no, okay, we give importance to our mothers. No? That's not what I'm implying. No? Okay. We just give importance to our uh, mother's what's this maiden name, no? Okay, in this example there are certain properties that will not require a let's say you have a data entry program of 20 or 25 fields or properties. Not all of them will be required. Do you get me? So you can create this one, setters and getters for that particular property or field. Do you get me, class?
Yes, sir.
Apo, sir.
Okay. So that's why there are setters and getters. And the usual case in setters and getters is that they are public because we define um, as is in object-oriented programming, no? There are certain properties that are private or protected, meaning it should not be accessed by users. And meaning users in OOP, no? These are developers, okay? They are not end users, okay? That's the way that's the way it should be. Huh? There are certain fields or properties that are public, but and class that is called in the property of object-oriented programming in our discussion. What is that called? What property or what characteristic in object-oriented programming? There are certain methods or properties that are private. Okay, we cannot have access to it. No, and there are certain properties and methods that are public. That's called what?
Encapsulation po, sir.
Very good. That's called encapsulation. Okay. Think of uh, a better example for this one is your electric fan. Yeah? In your electric fan, you cannot see the winding. You cannot see the wires. Okay, you cannot see the they're simple circuit boards. No? Okay, you cannot see the internals of the electric fan. No? What you see is, of course, no, the fan blade, the what's this? Uh, the protector. What's that? The grill. The grill. Okay, and you control the electric fan via the buttons, no? The speed. No? Okay. It's the off, one, two, three, or four, maybe. No? Okay, these are the things that are public, no? The interface, no? And of course, these are the interfaces, no? The setters and getters. These are like the push buttons in the electric fan, no? Or the knobs, no? Sometimes electric fans has knobs, no? At the back, no? Okay, that is where you can turn it on or control the speed, no? Okay, and sometimes they have buttons, no? Okay, or as Americans may call it, buttons. Okay, do you understand what encapsulation is? Huh? You can't see the winding inside. You cannot see what's inside the electric fan. No? What you only see are the fan blade, the grill, no? And of course the body, no? And then the controls, the speed control. Do you understand what encapsulation is, class?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's why there are certain things that are private. We cannot see. And there are certain things that are public, which we can have access, much like the bank and the teller. Ah, okay, any questions with regards to this code? Any questions or clarifications? Okay. Uh, I think I have confused you long enough. No? If I'm going to discuss inheritance today, you will get more, you, you will be more confused. Am I correct, Julia? For now,
Baka po.
yeah, yeah. And this is for, I think, no? You represent the entire class. No? Okay. And for now, you just review what we have discussed. No? With regards to the methods, you know already the methods. No? These are constructors. No? And perhaps the thing that is new to you is passing an array to a method. No? Okay. So you can combine it with, okay, in my work, no? Yeah, I pass arrays. It's required in PHP. No? It's almost, no, almost when we talk about data being retrieved in the database, it's going to be stored in an array. No? Okay, so it's part of life in PHP. No? Okay, so we mix and match properties there, and the objects, no, we pass arrays. No? Okay. So anyway, and also as a recap, no, we've learned about access modifiers. No? Public we know already. No? This is going to be accessible anywhere. No? The empty one, no, there's no access modifier. No? As what I have shown you before, no, in constructors, no, they can be accessed from within the package. No? If you remember your, if you're doing your IDE, no, there's always this package. No? So if you don't include an access modifier, it's going to be available there from that particular package. So if you create modules on that particular package, it can be accessible anywhere from that package. It's like a it's like less public. It's public but contained. No? Okay. Um, and of course, no, there's the private. You know this already. No? When we talk about private, it's only going to be available from that class. when we inherit it later on, no, we cannot have access to it. No? Once it's declared private. No? Okay. So if you have declared it as a private string, a private property or a private method, it's only going to be available from within that class. No? And of course, no, when we define it as protected, it's going to be available from that class and from its subclass. Okay. And of course, no, part of access modifier, no, is the characteristic of object-oriented programming, which is encapsulation. Okay. So, any questions, clarifications? I'm going to tell you something, no, before, no, uh, way back, no, I was accustomed to like C, no, okay, and then object oriented came along, okay. It took me quite some time to understand the concepts of object oriented programming. It was in the 90s, no? In the mid 90s and late 90s. No? It took some time for me to understand. No? But lucky for you guys, no, there's us to teach you, no, what OOP is. No? So before, there was nothing. No, we only relied on textbooks. We only relied on the system manuals. No? Okay? There was no Google back then. We have to experiment. No? What's this? What's that? No? So what's encapsulation? What is inheritance? No? We have to experiment. Okay. So anyway, if you don't have any more questions, no, I hope you learned something today, and I'll be seeing you next meeting. You can have, oh, if you want, you can have your early dinner. Thank you, class, for today.
Sir,
Yeah.
can we take a screenshot po ng lahat for attendance?
Oh, sure. No problem.
And for
Ay,
those
tas,
who
ay wait lang, tanong na lang po sir, i-upload niyo na pa po yung mga codes regarding dun
Yes,
sa
of course.
overloading methods,
I
yung
always,
iba-iba po.
yeah, I always do that. Yeah, you
Sige
know.
po, thank you po. Medyo nalito lang kasi.
Oh, I know. I know.
pa-stop sharing na lang, sir, para makuha po yung buong
Ay,
file.
sorry. Oo, sorry. Stop presenting. Okay.
Ayan.
Sorry.
Okay, for those who want to open their camera, bukas na po.
Kompleto ng rig ni Lerwin, ah. Meron pa siyang, ano, ah.
Ayan. Calling once, calling twice. Alright. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay na po, sir. Thank you po.
Okay. Sige. I'll see you guys next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you po sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po, sir.